Hi, I'm Kelly Barham, and welcome to the March edition of Life Path. Spring is approaching, nature is blooming, new growth all around. What a great time to remind yourself to never stop growing. It may be through taking those few extra steps and changing your eating habits, maybe through getting out there and trying a new form of exercise, or maybe even taking your exercise routine to the next level. Look around you. What is it that you can change that will help you blossom? It's definitely a great time to remind yourself of the importance of your chiropractic care. So keep up with it. The health of your nervous system is one of the most important elements in helping you keep healthy for a balanced, vibrant life. And we're here to show you how. So pay attention. And should any questions arise, don't be afraid to turn to your chiropractor. He or she can be a great source of additional information that can help you in making decisions that are right for your health. And when you learn something new, don't be afraid to tell others. Help them to get on the path of healthy living, just like you've been fortunate enough to get on yourself. So share the benefits of proper nutrition and tips on exercise. But most importantly, don't forget to mention the many benefits of chiropractic care. The reality is, most people simply don't know. So do share your experiences and mention the ones you've seen on our show. Don't be embarrassed. Speak up and tell people about the benefits of chiropractic care and what your chiropractor can do for them. You can actually have a positive impact on someone's life and their families too. And that is life-changing. With that being said, why don't we turn to this month's show and learn a little more about how to maintain true health. First of all, let's look at eating. After all, what you consume in the form of food and drink becomes fuel for your body and your life. So what kind of fuel are you running on? Because food can dictate the quality of your daily life, vibrant or sluggish. And I'd like to point out how important nutrition is to our overall well-being. But I also recognize the fact that we would all like our health food to taste good and, of course, with our time constraints, be simple to make. That is why Lou Schwartz is here, a chef and an instructor at the Classic Cooking Academy. He is here to teach us a thing or two about healthy and edible. So I can't wait. Then, do you understand that healthy structure equals healthy function? Does that statement make sense to you? Well, if not, Dr. Richard Klingert is here to explain the relationship between your body structure and overall health. Really, the relationship is quite linear, and if you're seeing your chiropractor as you should, trust me, you're definitely helping to keep your health aligned. Samuel Colby from Gridiron Express, however, is going to help you keep aligned. How? Well, with a stretching routine that you can do at home. It's a special routine specifically designed and tested to help you maintain your chiropractic adjustments. So carve out a few minutes every day and celebrate your health by paying it forward. Our final story, however, strikes fear just from its name. Scoliosis. Sounds hopeless, but in reality, if you talk to our upcoming guest, Dr. Alice Chalikian, it doesn't have to be that way. With all the misinformation out there related to the cause and care of scoliosis, if you haven't seen the power of chiropractic care, it's going to be an eye-opening experience, and we'll be glad to lift the veil of misunderstanding for you. But first, let's talk about healthcare reform. Yes, really, on this show. You hear it almost daily on the news. It's a hot topic in the political arena. Controversial, right? My question is, however, do we even have a healthcare system? Think about it. Outside of your chiropractor's office, does anybody really mention keeping you healthy? We are so wrapped up in our culture of managing sickness that we have forgotten the importance of managing wellness. To help explain this better and really drive it home, let's join Dr. Dean DePice. It's time to learn about healthcare reform through self-care reform now.
There's so much talk in our world right now about the health reform. Well, I love accurately assessing the use of the English language. And to reform something would suggest that the form exists to begin with, right? In other words, if the form never existed, there's no need to reform it. We're actually forming it, all right? So we talk in this country about a health reform. But think about it. The thing we call health insurance covers us if we have a tragedy or crisis. And once the crisis or the diagnosis is eliminated, it doesn't cover us anymore. So it's not really health insurance, it's crisis care insurance. It's insurance to cover tragedy or crisis. Misuse of the English language, one could easily argue or debate. It's at least a conversation. Well, bring that more clearly to the term health reform. In this nation, we know that somewhere around $2.8 trillion is spent within the healthcare system. It's been fact that 95% of those dollars are spent on the treatment of crisis intervention. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out we're not spending money on health care, we're spending money on crisis care. Therefore, the major construct, the foundations, the basis of thinking and behavior in our medical or allopathic systems are the treatment of disease, which is crisis care, not health care. So we don't have a health care system. So let's get simple. We can't have a health reform. When you get people who design sickness care to help government officials lead a health reform, they can't. It's not their frame of thinking, right? When a carpenter sees things, he sees them as either a nail because he carries a hammer or something to be cut because he carries a saw. That's how he sees the world. No one sees anything as it is. People see things as they are. If we truly want a health reform, we would have had a healthcare system. So the real issue here is to raise up ourselves. We need to reform us. So the only chance for a health reform in this nation or this world at large is for individuals to go through a self-reform, to reform your conduct. Not your health reform, your self-reform. Okay? And these are conversations we can get way too intellectual about. But let's face it, you're already in a healthcare provider's office if you're watching this. At least that was the intention of this film. And so you're already at a higher level of thinking because you're in a kind of doctor's office who doesn't just practice crisis intervention, right? Most of the world's professional athletes go to chiropractors and get adjusted, not when their backs or necks or whatever hurt. They do it because they play a better game in life. So regardless of the presence or absence of symptoms, they seek to receive care. So we want to make sure that you live that out and you don't just use chiropractic as a means to druglessly get out of pain. What a substandard use of something so vibrant that helps racehorses run faster races. It helps Lance Armstrongs and the like pedal better races. It makes football players play better games, not because we fix you, but you have an ability inside you to fix yourself that when adjusted plays at a higher level. When you get adjusted, you express more of you. You know, there was research done recently on 65-year-olds. They took, I believe it was 4,000 or 5,000 65-year-olds, and they studied them over 5 years of time. And during that time, they were having regular, ongoing chiropractic care, usually weekly visits, regardless of the presence or absence of symptoms. And what they discovered and published, and it has been undisputed, the findings have stood true to this day, was that people 65 years of age and older, when they had 5 years of nonstop chiropractic care, they ended up costing this country 39% of the national average of what was being spent on healthcare costs for the unadjusted people. They also utilized 50% of healthcare provider visits compared to the unadjusted people. Now, one could add all sorts of arguments. Well, maybe they were doing something else too. Maybe these people who get adjusted also drink more water. Okay, and your point is? Because people who get chiropractic care tend to be more thoughtful, I would argue more intelligent, but at least more thoughtful about doing things regardless of the presence or absence of symptoms. So what I bring to you today is the only chance our nation has for a health reform is if you and I choose to literally live the life of going through self-reform. How are you going to conduct yourself differently? And that means, first of all, just think about what you're saying. Think about the doctors you're choosing. You know, in an earlier film I did with you, we shared research that was done at the University of Chicago Hospital, and they were trying to understand why most people who come in and out of hospitals never end up a whole lot more healthy. They may end up dealing with their symptoms, but when they're tracked a year or 2 years later, they're not living any healthier. And what they discovered was the doctors that they saw admitted to 3 things. Number one, they really don't have time to work with people on healthcare issues. Right? It's crisis intervention. Number 2, they really don't have the intelligence or the training, the knowledge of what to teach or give to patients to get them to have a more adjusted life. Right? And thirdly, they really don't care. And from what I could read, that wasn't meant in a malicious way. What they meant by they don't care is the thing they care for is crisis intervention. So they don't really tend to care. Most doctors don't care about health care. They care about crisis care. They may call it a healthcare system, they may call themselves healthcare providers, but again, that's what we said in the opening, it's just misuse of the English language. All right? So they're crisis care providers, good people, and it's necessary. In fact, one day if we get to meet and we have the time, I'll share the story of how my oldest son, who's with us today, would not be with us today if not for crisis intervention. All right? But the fact is, what he received in that hospital was not health care. When he was unconscious for 26 days, he was not receiving health care. He was receiving crisis care, and thank God for that. But once we got out and they told us he'd be brain injured, he'd be unable to read and write to any high levels, and he'd certainly never be an athlete, that's when we knew that once the symptoms were gone, we were going to have to work on health care. And at this point, he's conquered way beyond what most children or blossoming adults get to accomplish. So none of those things became true. If anything, he went to the other extreme of prosperous living. So what I share with you is a pursuit of your prosperous living. No human being sees the world as it is. They see it as they are. My hope is that with this conversation just now, you're raising up who you are, and therefore you see the world different. As the old saying goes, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. As chiropractors and chiropractic patients, we look at things differently. We don't get adjusted to get rid of a backache or neck ache. We get adjusted because a person adjusted is better off with everything they deal with. So whether it's the research that gets you, whether it's the conversations with your chiropractic that gets you, all I ask of you is go forth and be informed. Make sure that you daily don't just get your body adjusted, get your thinking and behaviors adjusted, because the only chance for a health reform in this country is self-reform, and that means you and I. Welcome to that journey. I'm counting on you, and you can count on me that these are the things I lose sleep over, and so does your chiropractor. So also think of who is your family, friends, relatives, coworkers that should have heard this. Bring them on the next appointment and share this with them. Thank you.
Healthy food can taste amazing, and without all those mind-altering, taste bud-stimulating chemicals commonly found in processed foods. You've seen it on our show before. Healthy dishes delivered by some of the best chefs in the profession. Dishes that you too can make. Dishes that we teach you to make at home. Yes, you might have to change a few habits, learn a few recipes, learn about good food, but most importantly, learn how good food can be. Sometimes I wish I could offer you a taste, but for that, you have to dig in yourself and get your own hands dirty. We'll be here for you, however, every step of the way. So let us fire up the stove, tie on the old apron, and see what good cooking with Chef Lou Schwartz can be. Hello everyone, I now have my apron on, so we're going to be doing some cooking. Good healthy cooking as usual. Here with Chef Lou Schwartz from Classic Cooking Academy.
Classic Cooking Academy.
Great.
Yes.
So we love cooking healthy, and you're going to show us some more healthy foods.
Yep, we're going to do a chilled quinoa and goat cheese salad today.
Quinoa.
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 I've probably seen it, but I didn't know what it was.
A lot of people see it in the stores. They're afraid to buy it because they don't know what it is. So
exactly.
Quinoa, it's a grain. It actually comes from South America. The ancient Incans used to eat this as a staple in their diet. Mm-hmm. As you can see here, this is the multicolored white, red, and black version. Today we're going to be using the plain white version that we have right here, which you can find readily available in any grocery store. Just aesthetically, that's the only difference really. So
it's really, really healthy. What makes it so healthy?
It has all the essential amino acids that you need. It's the highest protein value in any grain that you can find out there on the market. I was saying that NASA is actually using this as a superfood and using it in their space program.
We've talked about a few of those before.
Exactly,
yeah, it's
exactly.
Great.
So this is wonderful.
Great. Well, it sounds good. It looks like couscous, but it's not.
It
It's
looks
better
like
than couscous.
It cooks a little different than couscous, but
Tastes better, right?
tastes better too. And it's, like I said, a lot more value as far as your health is concerned.
So what do you want me to do?
Well, I'm going to have you pour in a few tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil into that pot right there. I'm going to start by slicing off some garlic.
How's that look? Is that enough? Ooh.
That's good. That's nice and hot. I want to pull that to the side there.
Yeah.
That's okay.
We don't want to.
Yeah, that's a little bit on the warm side.
Yeah.
So
take it off the side.
So you want to put it on a medium-low heat. That's a medium-high heat, but that's okay. We're not gonna judge.
Look, we're trying here.
We're gonna, yeah.
Holy moly.
You can see that we're cooking in this kitchen. So it's a little warm. That's
Yeah.
okay. We're gonna let that cool just touch. Then we're gonna throw in our garlic here.
Okay.
And we're just gonna sweat that off. Like I said, it's usually on a medium-low heat. This is a medium-high heat.
Cook
It's
it
starting to
till-
toast a little bit there. So we're gonna add in our quinoa.
Wow.
It went that fast.
Holy moly.
It went that fast. So
You want me to
quinoa.
stir?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Quinoa
right.
is gonna toast in there just a little bit. We're gonna add a little salt, and we're using kosher salt. A little bit of fresh cracked black pepper.
We like all of it.
Oh yeah,
Sounds good.
good stuff. So that's working. I
Smells
have a
good.
few.
So this is
sprigs-
roasting?
Toasting.
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 Okay.
We're gonna actually finish it in the oven eventually. We'll
So
get
is
to
it
that
better
point.
in the oven?
It's easier in the oven. It's kind of one of those. Put it in the oven and forget about it until the timer goes off.
I like that.
Yeah, exactly it. So we're going as easy as possible to make this. Fresh thyme, like I said, just a few sprigs of fresh thyme in there.
Fresh stuff.
Fresh stuff. So as that is toasting off, and it's just about there,
Okay.
we have a little bit of water, and you can use chicken stock or vegetable stock, whichever one
Ooh,
you
that'd give more
decide to
flavor.
go. Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So, and we're good to go. We're
Okay.
going to pour that right into there.
Keep stirring, right?
Keep stirring. Once it comes to a boil, we can take that off the heat and pop it into a preheated 350-degree oven for 16 minutes. We're just going to cover that before it goes in. Or you can do it stovetop, but like I said, it's a lot easier just to pop it in the oven, set the timer, and forget about it.
Reasonable.
Exactly.
Put it in the oven, leave it, don't have to worry about it.
And your busy lifestyle, you don't have time to kind of keep your eye on the
Right.
pot, and so it's just much easier.
So we don't want this instant. I think you and I talked about that
Yes,
before we
we
came
don't
on.
want anything instant. Instant is not as far as nutrition. It's just they
Strips
strip
everything out.
Exactly
Yeah.
it. So, like
I'm
I said,
waiting.
that's going to come to a boil.
What is it? Watch pot never boils?
Yeah. Well, don't watch it. Just turn your back and walk away from it. It'll go. We turn the heat up on that this time, and it'll boil real
Okay,
quick.
you don't need me to stir anymore.
No, we're good. So we actually have a
Right.
little bit of it already done, so we can kind of just
Okay.
turn that off. Anyway, once it comes out of the oven, the best way to do it to cool it quickly is what we did here. We spread it across the plate, spread it equally out, nice and thin, and you can see all the beautiful thyme and the fresh garlic
Looks
in
good.
there. It's very tasty stuff. So we're going to take this, and you're going to get some of the salad over there.
All right.
And I got some julienne of celery right here. So we're just going to dice this up small. And we're going
toss
to
it,
add
right?
this into, toss that up a little bit. I'll give you a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in a second. Little,
See, it's always fun here.
here you
Always
go.
something
Little
to do.
salt, little pepper in there.
All right.
I trust you. I'll get you some lemon.
Little do they know.
Little do they know, yes. We'll find out
See, the
shortly.
problem is I put a lot of pepper in it.
Little extra virgin olive oil in there. Little, just give that nice squeeze of lemon
Olive
into
oil
there.
first?
So it's a natural kind of healthy vinaigrette.
Okay.
Yeah, little, go ahead. Keep going. Don't be afraid.
Be afraid, be very
Don't be afraid. You're good, you're good.
Okay. See, he's got to watch me.
There you go. Squeeze that lemon right on into
The
there.
whole thing, right?
The whole thing.
All right, now we're talking.
There you go.
You get the whole thing.
So,
That's why I wear this. Look at this. It's all
that's
over
it.
me.
It gets everywhere.
That's right. Well, you have to enjoy your food.
That's it. You got to put a little bit of you in everything you
That's
do, right?
I like that. Way to go, Chef Lou.
So, green onion. We got some red bell
Awesome.
pepper here. Same thing. We're just going to kind of julienne this.
Okay.
And it's all natural. It's uncooked, so it's got that nice raw vegetable flavor.
And we've talked about that, raw foods. It's a
Keeping
lot
it
better for you.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. And if you can buy locally, that's the best way to do it.
Support the local farmers.
Everybody says buy organic. You don't need to necessarily buy organic. Just buy local. That's the
Because
best way
most
to do it.
organic has less, I would hope so, less pesticides, I think.
Right.
And plus you're supporting the local farmers.
Exactly. You're keeping the money inside of your community, and that's the best way to do it right there. So,
Color.
got great color in there. You want to grab a little bit more of the extra virgin olive oil
Okay.
and give me a little
Toss in
spritz
here?
into there. Yeah, a little
right.
bit in there.
Tummy weight?
That's good. That's good.
Want some more?
We can always add a little bit
All
more.
right.
It's easier to add more than to take away. So, goat cheese is in there.
Good.
Got some sliced almonds. We're gonna toss that all together. So, if you want to grab the plate behind me, because now my hands are all nice and wonderfully messy.
All right.
And take your mixed greens.
All right.
If you haven't already, toss it up by hand.
I've been tossing it.
There you go. There's a joke there to be made
all the
about
way
tossing salad. But anyway.
You want it around the rim?
Yeah, just around the outside.
Make it look,
Yep, right into
interesting.
there. Yep. Just get it
Oh, it does
all
look
onto the
good.
plate.
Looks very good.
And you can serve this kind of a family style like what we're going to do here.
Good thing I like salad.
We all love salad.
All right.
So, then we're just going to put this right in the middle here. And of course, we can always garnish it. A little bit of fresh chopped green onion if we want to.
Ooh, that would be good.
Which is what we will have right here.
All right.
So just take the green, right here. Just kind of put a quick chop on this.
I'm not that fast.
That's okay.
That comes with experience.
Yes. You want to keep your fingers back and never take your eyes off of what you're doing. Ever.
Ah ha ha.
Yes. Love when
There
you
we
do
go.
that. So, little garnish right there.
What
Done.
else can we do to it?
A little bit of, you want to add a little bit more almonds. Wonderful. Like I said, you can serve this with some fresh grilled chicken. Pan-seared salmon would be excellent with this.
That sounds good.
Yeah, anything you want to add on to this. Right now we have a really great vegetarian dish. But like I said, you can add any type of protein.
That looks good.
It's awesome.
That looks very good.
Beautiful summer, summertime dish. Like I said, local fresh greens, and you're good
Okay,
to
the
go.
crews, same thing. Their mouth is watering, but I
Yeah.
get to taste it first.
Yes.
All right, let me try this. Well,
you
Chef
go.
Lou, again, the Classic Cooking Academy. And if they want to know this and other recipes, they can go to
They can go to my website at www.loopdeloo.com.
loopdeloo.com.
Yes, sir.
Can't forget that one. Dig in. That is good.
It's good.
Better than couscous. Couscous, however you say it.
That nice
Thanks,
toasty
guys.
flavor. It's wonderful.
Oh, man, that is good.
It's very good.
If I said that healthy structure equals healthy function, would that mean anything to you? Think about it. Does the structure of your body, more importantly, your spine, influence your health? By now, I'm sure you've heard that your nervous system is the master system of your body, controlling every living function down to every organ, tissue, and cell. So what does that have to do with the actual structure of your spine? Dr. Richard Klinger will be joining us shortly to talk about just that, so you too will be able to see how your structure and chiropractic care play a role in our overall well-being. So why don't you join him right now?
How does healthy structure equal healthy function? Structure dictates function. That occurs throughout nature. In chiropractic, it also is true. Structure dictates function. As a chiropractor, my role, or I see my role, as not only a doctor, but also as a teacher and as a facilitator. I want to facilitate your understanding of how the body works in a kind of simplistic way, but also to give you the ability to do something at home to help yourself. So let's back up the structure. Let's look at a crank, a 90-degree, two 90-degree angles, and let's say I put this crank into a Model T Ford and I turn the crank. It gives me leverage. Well, what if I took that crank and for whatever reason we decreased it? And instead we now want to achieve the same amount of function over here. It would take more effort to turn it. We can relate this to the spine as well. So if we look at the human spine, we can see that the spine has various curves to it. There's 3 of them to be exact. When we look at the spine from the front, the spine should be straight. And actually, this is a actual replica of a plastic model of a spine, so it's pretty accurate. So you can see that there are various bones within the vertebrae, within the spinal column. And the purpose of these bones is to give you support. It gives you a foundation. Every movement that you do within nature is based upon some foundational structure. And that's what the spine represents. So all my movements within my body pivot relative to the structure of the spine. The curve of the spine is very unique because that curve gives you not only support, but protection, but it also gives support and holds the head up. The head, my head's kind of average, but it weighs anywhere from 10 to 12 pounds. And as a result, your body has to move relative to gravity. If we change the dynamics of the spine, and for instance, we decrease the curve of the spine, and it kind of goes forward like that. And you've seen people who've had forward head posture, their pelvis is sticking out like this, and they have very little ability to move. When you do this, you're compromising the communication system. The brain generates energy through the spinal cord, out through these nerves, and it regulates and controls how your organs work, your heart, your lungs, your liver, your gallbladder. It tells me how to move my hands. So if I want to move my finger, a message goes from the brain through the spinal cord, out through the spinal nerves, through the peripheral nerves, tells my finger what to do. As a result, we're able to achieve a certain amount of function. But all of that is dependent upon the structure of the spine. For every nerve that goes to a muscle, a branch of that nerve goes to your lungs, liver, gallbladder. And as a result, your health and wellness is dependent upon the energy or the communication coming from the brain. Remember, the brain is the central core. It's what regulates everything in the body. So let's back up to the spine once again. We have various bones, and those bones move in different directions. When that does, there's a chance or a possibility that it can pinch a nerve. When that pinches a nerve, it interferes with the communication from the brain through the spinal cord, and I may not move my finger the way I would like. I may not have the heart functioning like I should, or the lung and respiration. So what we want to do is to try and correct that. This is what chiropractic does. We make adjustments to the spine. We help to restore order. We help to restore the structure. The integrity of the spine is very important. What we're looking at here are bones. We're looking at nerves, we're looking at discs that separate the bones. But in reality, there are various muscle structures that hold the spine together, that give you locomotion. But what happens is that when we have, in chiropractic, we call it a vertebral subluxation. The vertebrae misaligns, creates pressure on the nerve, it disturbs the communication, it distorts the spine, it distorts the muscles, and as a result, it distorts the ability of the body to regulate itself. That in turn is called sickness. And in fact, the reason people come to us is because they have pain, because they've exhausted all their other options. They actually come to us as a last resort. And that's okay, because that's how we built our reputation. So what I would like to do today is to help you just appreciate that vertebral subluxation, vertebrae misaligns, creates pressure on the nerve, interferes with the body's ability to heal itself. You can do something at home to help yourself. And the way we do that is we teach you some fundamental exercise. These basic exercises give you the ability to achieve a certain amount of function. And remember, structure dictates function. So let's do a basic exercise. First of all, the spine held together by ligaments, tendons, muscles, and it has joints and it has discs that separate the bones. All of those have to be fluid in their motion. That's why when you wake up in the morning, you feel a little bit stiff. It takes a while to get everything going. It takes a while to get the energy to that area. So we want to warm it up. How do we warm it up? Well, we have a basic exercise. You're going to raise your shoulder up, lift your chin, sitting down, and you want to do a rotation exercise like this. Turning your head, turning your shoulder. 25 to 30 times. You want to flex your head, extend your head, turn your head left and right. All of this to warm up the disc, to warm up the joints, to warm up the muscles, to get everything going, just like an automobile in wintertime. You want to warm the engine up, get that oil to become thinner so that the engine can run smoothly and more efficiently. We want to do the same thing for your spine. When you injure the spine, when you decrease the curve, when you create subluxation, you're actually taking the curve like this, and as you stretch it, it creates a disturbance to the tissue that protects it. And you can see this little tear of the banana skin. So if you tear the banana skin, the protective coating, you're tearing the fibers that support the nerves, that support the spinal cord, that protect the spine. So what we want to do is to restore that by taking somebody that has a lessened curve and help to restore that curve by teaching you these exercises. After you do the warm-ups, we want to do something after you've heated it up. We want to try and mold the spine back to its proper curves, because these curves will give you the integrity and strength to help support the communication from the brain and the spinal cord. So we place a towel rolled up like this underneath the neck while you're laying on your back. We place one underneath the small of your lower back, and we lay on the floor and we bend your knees up and relax. Now this is a passive exercise. It takes no effort. You just lay there for about 15 to 20 minutes, because it takes that long for the spine and the disc and the ligaments and the tendons to kind of mold to the position that you want to be in. Now, that being said, that's only one exercise that we can teach you. There's a lot of things that chiropractors, if you visit your chiropractor, tell friends about it. We want you to have the very optimal health. Why should people wait until it's too late, or wait until it's fourth stage of cancer before they try to do something to help themselves? Chiropractic offers you the ability to help your body express itself to its fullest potential. The brain generates the energy, goes through the spinal cord, out through those nerves. If you have interference anywhere along this path, the brain doesn't know what's going on. We want to be able to restore that. Your chiropractor can help you to achieve that. My recommendation is everybody should be under chiropractic care. Children, newborn children, great-grandmothers, 90, 95. I've had, my oldest patient was 94 years old. I highly recommend chiropractic for the wellness. Correct the structure, improve your function. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Stretching and flexibility are important elements to your chiropractic care. They actually help in keeping your adjustments. Through his close work with chiropractic patients, Sam Jacoby put together a special stretching routine that helps to keep one's body stay more aligned in between visits. So let me go change, clear the floor, and help out Sam in helping you maintain better form. And with that, of course, better health. Here's some stretches that you can do at your home or at your gym, anywhere to keep your chiropractic adjustments. We're going to make it real simple. Start at the top of the body at the neck. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up the neck. There's a webbing that goes throughout our whole body, and they call that fascia. But this webbing, this can either be lengthened or shortened. When it's shortened, it's a bad thing. It can throw your chiropractic adjustment off. If it's lengthened, you'll move better and you're stronger and you're a lot more vibrant. We're going to start with that head. We're just going to rotate in both directions. And when you're doing this, just kind of think of about 3 to 5 rotations per side. And if it feels good, do it more. If it feels a little stiff, just chip away at it. You don't want to overstretch, because that's also a problem with stretching. The second thing we're going to do is same thing. We're going to rotate around the hip, opening up that low back, your SI joints, which your chiropractor is familiar with, but all the great areas that seem to go out if you're sitting for too long or in a long commute. The following stretches here at the knees. Just do nice little rotations. Do about 5 to 10 of these. Just get the fluids in the knee joints lubricated. You don't want to have stiff knees. Now from here, we're going to go into our back. This is right here, we all know it as our chicken wing. It's really your scapula. And this right here can actually get stuck against that rib cage. You want to open that up. So we're going to take this and pull that across that body. So that open that up. So you're going here and pull it open. You want to hold each of these stretches for about 10 seconds long. And you want to do it on both sides. And again, if it feels good, keep stretching it. If it's a little stiff, then, just work your way into it. The next following stretches we're going to do is going to be in our chest, opening up that webbing here, and that helps keep the ribs open. You've heard of popping a rib head out. It doesn't feel good when you're trying to breathe. This helps keep everything lengthened. And then from there, we're going to go right into our biceps. So this one goes on the floor. You're going to start with putting your hands straight out to the side. I want you to push away and open up that chest. Now this is kind of a unique stretch for most people, so just go into it really slow. Don't overdo it. And you're going to do that on both sides. Hold that stretch for about 10 seconds. And then the same thing, hand out, rotate on that index finger, same movement, but you're going to feel it in a different area. You're going to feel it right in that biceps, right in this little guy here. The next couple of stretches we're going to do, they're going to be on your back, okay? We're going to open up your low back. It always feels good to have a nice released low back, but you can also maintain it through this stretch, and that webbing's very tight in that area. We're going to pull your knees right to your chest. Make sure you're breathing. A huge part of stretching is your breath. And we're going to do on both sides. You're going to open up, pull that knee right to your chest, and open up the leg. It hits your hip flexors as well. That's an area right here. Putting your knees together. You're going to open up your hands, drop your knees to one side. Your head goes the opposite way. And this opens up this whole area here. And if you've ever heard of your IT band, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about that sheath here that connects that hip to that knee bone. You don't want a tight IT band because that causes problems in the hip joint. You're going to do that on both sides. See how I rotate away from my knees? Open all that up. And then we're going to do a deeper stretch here in this area here. And that they call this the reclined pigeon. You're going to pull your knee in tight, stretch forward, and just open up those piriformis areas. And that's right in here. Nice and strong. And you're going to hit both sides the same way. Hold this stretch for another 10 to 15 seconds. Just, they're bigger muscle groups. You want to spend a little bit more time letting those release. Let me get assistance from Kelly. I'm going to show you how to do these same stretches with a partner. So we're going to have Kelly lay right on your back there.
You're going to abuse me, I know.
So this one right here, same thing. You're holding your stretches 10 to 20 seconds. Again, if they say it feels good, just keep holding that stretch. If it's hard for them, just work their way into it. But the first one here, we're going to go knees to the chest. There you go. Make sure you remind your partner just to breathe, relax.
Oh, yeah.
Allow that low back to open up. From here, we're going to keep the knees tight together, pushing on the knee and the hips as you push it all the way down. And just remind them to look the opposite way as they breathe, and that'll help open all of this up. A lot of times you'll actually hear or feel adjustments or those subluxations, the little crackling going on.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to look the other way again, opposite?
Yep, then look the opposite way as you get into that stretch there. And I stretched Kelly earlier, and he's a lot more loose now. So you can see how quickly, one can get stretched. That's why it's so important to do it once, twice, 3 times, 10 times a day if you have the time. This next stretch here, we're going to basically open up his IT band, that area right here. You take your leg across the body, use your opposite leg to push that forward, and you get that nice stretch. And that's opening all of that up. Again, lengthening that webbing so that your adjustment will stay in place where you want it to be until the next time you get adjusted. This is what it looks like on this side here. And another thing that I think is very beneficial, we're always up on our hips, doing traction. What that is you're pulling the extremity, in this case it's your leg, out of the hip joint. You're giving it a little bit of relief because we're always on your hip joints. Gravity has a way of giving us compression. So what I do is I can use his other leg as a base or an anchor, and I just pull on that leg until I feel it relax. I even rotate it to get some of that fluid in there. They call it synovial fluid. And I like to do it on both sides, keep the body balanced. And then another stretch I like to do is back here in the hamstrings. And what we're going to do here, you just open that up. See how his opposite leg is kind of moving? That means his hammies are tight. It ain't right when it's that tight. All right, we're going to go this side here. Let's hit the other side. And same thing. This is a real nice stretch for that hamstring. Tight hams mean a sore back. Sore back means tight hamstring. So you want to keep all that lengthened and loosened.
Wow, you're right.
You have a sore low back sometimes?
No, not for a while.
Okay, good. Perfect, perfect. All right, come on up.
All right.
Good job, Kelly.
So, good for what age? I mean, you know, anybody?
Yeah, this stretching, especially the routine I just showed you, anybody from ages 1 to 100. And in fact, everyone should be doing this. So you want to keep that webbing really lax and loose all the days of your life.
What do you mean by webbing then? I picture a spider, so I'm not really sure what you mean by webbing.
That's a good question. So with the webbing, think about the last time you bought a piece of steak and you see that white material that goes in between and webs in between the steak. That's the webbing that I'm talking about. And that goes from your nose to your toes. It fills your whole body up. So if you get in an accident, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be several areas of the body, not just right where it's manifesting or where it hurts.
Okay, so just basically, we're just trying to get all that stretched out and spread out.
Yep.
So, and you were talking earlier, we've been talking about this. The older we get, the more stretching actually helps us, I guess, live longer, right?
Yes, exactly.
Get
The
it all
older you
out.
get, the more shortened it gets because we get less and less active.
I've seen that.
So you want to keep your body moving, take like a Tai Chi or a yoga class, and just keep everything opened up and loose.
Sounds great. Thanks, Sam.
Great, thank
All right.
you.
Well, I got to change, and I'll be right back. Scoliosis. We've all heard about it. You may have even seen pictures of gravely deformed spines. You may even know someone with scoliosis. But what is it that you really know about scoliosis? Its cause, the effects it has on one's health. What about treatment, or how about a cure? Is that possible? And what can chiropractic care really do? I know I'm interested in learning more about it, so why don't we sit down with Dr. Alice Chilikian and explore the issues of scoliosis. As I said, we're going to be talking today about a serious subject. We're here with Dr. Alice Chilikian. We're going to be talking about scoliosis. I think something everyone should know about. How are you today?
Great.
Welcome to our studio.
Glad to be here.
Good, good. So I'm sure everyone wants to know, what is scoliosis?
Well, it's basically a condition where the spine is not aligned properly, often due to a hereditary trait, something that's passed on from one generation to the other, or it could be due to trauma, bad posture over the years, and therefore the patient has this misalignment, severe misalignment of the spine.
Yeah, because most of us think of it as a child's, I guess a child's disease, they get it, they're born with it, but you're saying it's not necessarily that way, but it may have a lot to do with it. You just said hereditary.
Yeah, so
Okay.
if it's hereditary, what it is, it's once they hit the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, that's when their spine develops, and that's when it starts to show. Initially, it'll show very slightly, and then as they age, as they get into their teenage years, depending on how the gene presents itself, it could they could have like a serious hump in the back or misalignment
Really?
to a point where it's very noticeable. Some kids not as much, some kids more. It just depends on their genes and how that gets activated in their body. Everybody's different.
Yeah, because I remember that growing up. I had a friend who, they had the big metal frame they were walking around with,
Yeah.
and that's what we're always thinking of, scoliosis. But again, you stated that it could happen later in life due to trauma of
As
some
well.
sort. Wow. So what would be some common treatments? I understand the manipulation. We're already talking about that on our show all the time. How does that benefit scoliosis, in other words?
Well, because it's a structural issue, we have to deal with it structurally. And as a chiropractor, we're hands-on and we're able to manipulate the spine, basically push the spine back to its original aligned stage. So if you have a spine that's misaligned laterally like this,
Right.
you're going to need to have a lot of manipulation, spinal alignments to push these bones back to where they're supposed to be. Also, we design specific exercises and stretching things they do in our office as well as out of our office that will further pull their spine back to neutral. And this is something that if a kid is diagnosed with scoliosis, it would be something that they would have to come in periodically throughout, until they reach 18, 19 years of age.
So you said exercises, and you also mentioned a hump. Is that basically we hear about a humpback? That's scoliosis?
Yeah.
Really?
And basically,
I never do.
yeah, and that the way that looks, the way that it shows up is because remember that you have ribs that are attached to your
Right.
spine, right?
Right.
So what happens with scoliosis is not just merely a lateral deviation of the spine, but there's also a rotational component. So if the spine is rotated differently, the ribs rotate with it. So now you have one side, pushing out more and one side going in. So now these
Wow.
ribs are expressing
I see.
more on their back.
Never
So
knew.
that's why you see that. That's the only reason. But with proper alignment and, if you catch it early enough, it could be reversed quite a bit or completely reversed. I've had a lot of children in my office that I was able to completely reverse their scoliosis. And
So that's your experience with it.
Yeah.
You've had good success.
wonderful success,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, we've always talked on here about the spine, and it's the information highway in essence, the internet of your body. That when you do have subluxation and you have curvature and you have, what did you call this again? The rotation,
Yes.
right? Well, you're cutting off that information.
Yeah.
What kind of effect would that have, let's say, on organs?
Well, it definitely affects the organs because remember, your brain here
Oh, yeah.
communicates with the rest of your body, every cell of your body through the nervous system. So to me, it's kind of like the electrical wiring, that tells
Sure.
tells the TV to be on or off or the lights to be on or off. So what
remote.
happens, exactly. So the remote's right here, So basically, if the misalignment is so severe, where it's pinching that nerve in there because it's twisted and curved. What happens is that nerve is not able to give the information to the organ. So now what happens to the organ is that it doesn't develop properly.
Explain
So-
that. What do you mean? And you've experienced this with a patient?
I have seen that in basically the first time I've seen it, I'll tell you, it's kind of a funny story. I was in gross anatomy lab, and there we
Okay.
were cutting through cadavers,
Okay.
and
Not my
there
cup
was
of tea, but go ahead.
yeah, there was
Sure.
a person that suffered with scoliosis all her life, and you could see how it affected her organs because one kidney only developed so much and the other
Sure.
one didn't. So you had one kidney smaller than the other. You had the heart larger than it should be, the liver smaller than it should be. So you could see exactly how
Wow.
the nervous system was not able to communicate to these organs the right way, and they developed differently because of that.
Because they're pinching off the information.
Exactly.
One side, like as you're saying, is getting more information, and so it's getting all that, I guess, good juice, whatever you want to call it, from the information, and the heart's getting larger, the one kidney. Wow. See, a
And-
lot of people don't understand this, and first thing they do is go to a medical doctor. They have their place, but in my experience, the first thing they want to do is give you medication to cover the problem, and then want to operate. And that's definitely not good. Wow. So again, your experience is working with cadavers and seeing the difference in that.
But also in the regular patient, what I'm able to see is that a lot of them suffer with different issues of they do have IBS, they do have all kinds of different issues going on, asthma, and I'm pretty sure that that's probably associated due to the nerve interference.
Well, of course.
Also on a physical scale, when you touch their back, I notice one side the muscles are really strong and they're definitely getting the information, and the other side they're atrophied. There's no muscle there.
And
So-
you mentioned that, and other chiropractors have mentioned that because you're overcompensating. If you have that curve, these muscles, one side is working more, and you're right, atrophy. I never thought of that. So you mentioned correct exercise to compensate for that, right?
Exactly.
What's IBS? You said IBS.
Well, that's basically has to do with the way your digestion works and
Okay.
everything, and so people with
irritable bowel syndrome.
Yes.
Took me a moment. Sorry, guys. I should know this. Well, and again, because of the information you're talking about. Wow. What sort of exercise you're saying? I mean, you just exercise that extra muscle, or what?
Well, we do. Obviously, if one side is you have a more spasm, and the other side is more atrophied, we would align the spine, and while they're getting their proper chiropractic alignments regularly, they also have to stretch out the side that's spasmed and strengthen the side that's weakened.
Good
So
exercise.
they have to do specific exercises just for one side of their body.
Great.
So now they're not doing lifts in the gym like you and I would do with, using weights on both arms, but they would only do one side in order to
Right.
strengthen that side.
Great.
Yes.
That is great. Everybody needs to be checked. Everybody needs, especially their children, get them in, get them checked to see how their spine's aligned. This has been great. Everybody needs to know about scoliosis. Thank you again. It's
Thank
great.
you.
Good. This is neat. I learned a lot with this.
We've come to the end of this month's show. I hope you've gained some insight, maybe even new direction in living a chiropractic lifestyle. With that, I want to thank all of our guests for taking the time from their busy schedules to share their expertise and advice with you. And just as our guests took the time to share their knowledge and their passion with you, don't let it end here. Share the information you've learned on this month's show with the people that you come across in your life. By spreading the word, you may help someone else find the benefits of chiropractic for themselves and their loved ones, and with that, change their lives for the better. So as I mentioned earlier, don't be embarrassed to talk to your family and friends about the benefits of chiropractic care. Show them what it's like to live a chiropractic lifestyle. Maybe even cook up the latest you learned from Chef Lou today so they can see how easy it really is. To have health is to have it in their hands, but somebody has to show the way. So why not you? For whom can you open the door to a healthy chiropractic lifestyle? So speak up. Meanwhile, if you have any questions on what you've seen on this month's episode of Life Path, talk to your chiropractor. He or she is a great source of information that can help you in making healthy choices in your life. As far as our show is concerned, we've come to the end. So hopefully, having learned something new, it's your turn to get out there and grab life by the horns. We'll be here to support you and egg you on with our next month's show. For now, however, take care and be well.